Today, in our file transfer or downloading from the iSeries to a PC class, we will be downloading a custom query, and I will show you how this feature can be used also in other parts of the system. We will go ahead and start by building a custom report or inquiry, as you have done in other classes in this series. Our option here is going to be create. I'm going to create a file for a mailing. I put my initials at the end of the query to identify it as mine. You may want to do that in your credit union as well to help identify queries that you've created for use in the system. Then my location is going to be my Query XX library. It's in the bottom left-hand corner. I am in my training library, so I will be using Query TR. Then I will choose Files. And let's say I would like to do a mailing to all of my members that have a closed-end loan in my credit union. I would use my master file. In my file TR, excuse me. And then I would add a file, and I'm going to use my member 5. My member 5 file contains all of my closed-end loans on the system. Do not have file ZTR, it's just file TR. Okay. At this point, I'm going to match records, so they must be in my master file and in my member 5 record. If they are in your member 5 record, they should also exist in your master record. To link my files, I'm going to do account base is equal to account base. And then I'm going to choose my records. Let's say I do not want anybody with a category 98 or 99 or anything that is written off. So I'll go down until I find my loan category. And at this point, I want to make it less than or equal to 90 or 89. The reason I want to do that is anything above 90 is reserved for written off loan categories. So now if I look at my report, I have tons of information about my members available. Now, if I would like to, I can choose my fields because I am creating a mailing list for myself. So I want my account base, the members first, and we'll just do first and last. If I hit enter at any time, it just bumps those to the top. Their address line 1, line 2, city, state, and zip. Okay. So now if I preview my report, I have their account base, first name, last name, city, state, and zip. Now, once I take this into Excel, I can remove all duplicates based on account base. And that is why I leave account base in this file. So at this point, I'll choose my output. And you've probably talked in previous classes about downloading through a database file. There's detail and summary. We want to choose our detail here because we would like to keep all of the address information in our query. Then I'll be naming my file and putting it in a location, and I am going to choose Train TR. From here, every time I run my mailing query, it will pull my most recent member 5 and master member records. So I do want to choose to replace file. And in case of my absence, I do want authority to be for all. At this point, I'll move forward. Now when I choose to output, it will output to the database file that I have named it. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and hit F3 or exit. It's going to ask me if I'd like to save the definition, run it interactively, which I do. I want it to run on most current data, mailing KJH, so it's got my initials in it in my query TR. I do suggest putting text in here. This appears next to your query name if you were to ever search your query library. And so you can identify why you may have used that query. So mailing for members with closed-end loans. And again, authority is going to be for all. They can do whatever they need to this query, copy it, change it, whatever they may need to do. Okay. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. You'll notice then, located at the bottom of my screen, it says File Mailing KJH in Query TR was created. It's important that you make note of that. On occasion, you may forget to change the name of your database file, and it'll have that weird QRP, which is a system-designated name for file downloads, if you do not name it yourself. Once you have done that, we're going to actually move out of our query menu and into our file menu. So it's your speed sequence, MNFILE. On the MN file menu, you can see here on the left-hand side, we have the file transfer functions, and we can choose file download iSeries to PC. We'll go ahead and click this. And a box will appear. Okay. Your system name for your credit union, if you are a CU Northwest client, would be prod.cu-northwest.com. This should automatically fill for you. If it does not, and you do not know your system name, please feel free to call us. If at any time you have downloaded the booklet on file transfers, you will want to note this in that booklet, as our system name is not the same as the one in the booklet. Then you can either choose your file name in here, or you can choose to browse. If you choose to browse, an additional window will open, just like when you're searching your files or your PC for a file, and then you can browse to that file to download it. I am going to put in, or where I would find my file is in Query TR or Query XX, whichever your credit union's 2-digit alpha is. Again, in that booklet, you may want to notate next to the places where it says Query XX or File XX what your credit union's 2-digit alpha ID is. So once you are in here, you'll put Query TR / then the name of your file. It does not have to be capitalized. So in my case, it's Query TR because I am in my training library, and then the name of my file, Mailing KJH, and that is the name of the database file that I chose to download. Down below, we've got our PC options. So once we've outputted, what are we going to do with it on our computer? So here, we're going to do File, because we would like to download this so that we can manipulate this in Excel for a mailing and then our file name. You can either choose to browse to where you would like to save it, or you can type in the path of where you would like to save it. So C:// and then I just want to save it to my C drive and name it mailing KJH, so it stays the same. Okay. Some other options that we have are format options in here for our datas and decimals and things like that. I would suggest that you do most of your manipulation in Excel if you are exporting it to Excel. Sometimes when you are separating items, whether they're comma delimited or tab delimited, fixed width in Excel, if you add additional characters, it can sometimes divide them incorrectly. The next item that we want to change before we choose to download this is to go to File, Properties, and then check the box that says Convert CC SID 65535. It is important that you check that box so that the file is converted properly for use in Excel. At this point, we're going to choose Apply and OK. At any time, if you've called any of our client service representatives, they may have pointed out the 4 icons here at the top of the screen. The option here on the very right, it's a little hand pointing at a box, is the same option as going to File and Properties. So if you just click that box and check here, it is the same thing as going to File and Properties. Once we have done that, we're going to go ahead and choose to transfer data from iSeries. You may get this box that pops up if this is the first time that you're downloading. At that point, you're going to want to choose to prompt every time for it to prompt you to download, so that you're making sure that there is security features in place so that if somebody else logs onto your PC, they are not able to get data if they are not supposed to. You do need special permissions to this menu if you would like to download from the iSeries to your PC. So if you are trying to download and you run into any error messages, please contact our client service team and we'd be happy to get you the appropriate form to get you the permissions for downloading. At this point, you'll put in your user ID and your password. This is your gold logon user ID and password. And then you'll choose OK. It's telling you it's connecting to the iSeries and to please wait. Now it's receiving the data from the iSeries. The last thing that you'll see is rows transferred, 1,250. If you do not receive this message, your file was not downloaded. At this point, you can choose OK. If this is something that you are going to be downloading on a regular basis, for example, your 5300, the ARIES files, anything regarding your ALM, you can actually save these requests, and I do suggest that you save them if it's something that you use frequently so that you don't have to fill these in every time you go to download those specific files. And it will ask you if you would like to save it as soon as I choose to close it. Do you want to save this transfer request? Yes or no. If you choose yes, like I just did, it'll ask you where you would like to save that. I suggest putting a file or a folder on your desktop, or if it's a shared duty, possibly on your shared drive for your credit union, so that everyone has access to it in case something needs to be downloaded from CU-Base to your computers. The next thing that we'll do is, and I'll actually minimize this, is I'm going to go to my Microsoft Excel. and open up my Microsoft Excel first. If you choose to open the file before you have opened up Excel, you will have error messages or your file will not be formatted correctly. You must first open up Excel and then browse to your file. So then we'll choose to open. I save this to my C drive, so I will go to my C drive on this PC, and you'll notice here that I don't see any Excel files here. Right here in the bottom, it says all Excel files. From that, we would like to choose all files. You'll see that you have two file options. There is an SDS file, which is an Adobe file, and a file without an extension. We do want to use the file without an extension. It's telling me that it's in a different format than what Excel is used to because it is not an Excel format. Would I like to continue? At this point, I choose yes. There is a text import wizard. There is a delimited feature and a fixed width. Most of the time, you're going to be using a fixed width. If at any time you'd like to use delimited, tab delimited, comma delimited, you can do that as well. So we'll do fixed width and choose next. You'll notice that my member's first name in this mailing list and their account base are not separated. So in order to separate them, I will just put a line before that member's first name, and I can move to the right to see if there are any additional fields that do not have separation. And at this point, I do not. Everything is separated, and I can choose next. Okay. Once I'm satisfied with the way that my file is formatted, I choose finish, and now I have got my member's first, first, last, address line 1, address line 2, city, state, and zip in an Excel spreadsheet. There is a little bit of formatting that needs to be done here. At the end, if you would like to take off the +4, we'll talk about custom fields and removing those if you'd like to before a mailing as well. At this point, then, I can manipulate this in Excel in any way that I would like, whether it is removing the account base from this, because we're probably not going to put their account base in our mailing, or it's removing any duplicates. So if a member had more than one Member 5 loans, which in our training library there are multiples for every membership, then I can remove those multiples so only one mailing goes to each household. Okay. Now, I indicated that in gold, you can use this file download iSeries to PC for multiple items. It is not just for query, although that is what it is mainly used for. You can also do this if you are trying to download a report from the system. So if I go to my Reports B, and I run a trial balance of all of my loans, and let's just say we're just going to do our closed-end loans again. I can do any selection criteria here I want, so I can exclude my accounts with write-offs. I can exclude anybody else that I would like. Maybe require certain balances for possible refinances if you're looking at your mortgage portfolio, the month and year to process, and then any additional sorting criteria here at the bottom. I've got my detail here, print member name and address, so again, if I'm using this for a mailing, I can, and then this option here, export to a file. You'll find that in many places in the software. As I indicated earlier, you'll find that in your financials. You'll also find that on many of the trial balance reports to export to a file. It is the same feature that is used for Member Connect. If you use any of the Member Connect features in CU Base, you'll notice that it either says for Member Connect or for Query. when you save a file for query, you can download it to Excel as well. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and hit Enter. It's going to bring up another option, Accounts for Member Connect, you'll see here, or Export Account Detail for Query. We're going to go ahead and choose Query this time. And I've named my file Closed KJH. I'll go ahead and hit Enter at this time, and you'll see it said it was going to be stored in my Query XX library. And then again, I can repeat the process, file download iSeries to PC. I will stop for just a second to see if there are any questions or concerns so far. Once a file is in Excel, we will help you get it to Excel if it is your first time downloading it. However, we do not support Microsoft Excel, so once it is in Excel, we may have knowledge of how to do it, but we won't always be able to assist. So if you have any questions once it's in Excel, how to remove duplicates, how to sort in Excel, those are items that you will need to use the help feature in Excel for. However, we do have some of our team members that are very good in Excel and can usually assist with most of those items if they are posed to our team. I'm going to go back to my query that I built earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and choose to change. And you know, I can't seem to remember the name of my query, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go down to see if I can find what it was. So I can see here September 25th, 2013, mailing for members with closed-end loans. So this is where that comes in handy, because I may not know what all of these other queries are out here that don't have names. So we're going to go ahead and choose to run this, because let's say it's been a month later and I'd like to run it again. I can go ahead and do that and choose Run. Then at the bottom, I don't have to do anything else to my query because I'm running on current month files. And I'll take just a moment. It's told me now at the bottom of my screen that my file mailing KJH and query TR was replaced. So again, if it's a query that you've built that maybe you're running on a monthly basis, downloading to Excel, and then analyzing, all you'll need to do is choose to run if you do not have an end-of-month file. So it's been replaced, and again, I can go out to MN file number 1, and I am going to do it one more time. File download iSeries to PC. Now that I have been on this PC and my system name has been used on here, it has been saved. Again, if you have the documentation printed or you have any little handouts or notes, please notate that the system name for CU Northwest clients is prod.cu-northwest.com. If it is not auto-saved and you cannot find what the system name is, please feel free to contact any client service members or client service representatives, and we'd be happy to assist you. This time I may want to choose to browse. It's asking me essentially if I have access to do what I'm doing. So if I put in the wrong password and choose OK, it's going to tell me that that's not correct or I don't have authorization to do it. So we're going to go ahead and choose Browse again. And I could go down to my query TR, which I may not have access to on this particular PC. and I do not. And I could choose my query PR or my query XX from here, open it up, and then browse to my file from there. Okay. If you are downloading things such as your ALM processing, your ARIES files, or any additional files along those lines that require special formatting, please refer to the booklet that is associated with those files, as they do require special naming conventions in order to download them correctly. So in here again, I'll put my query library, / the name of my file. Again, it does not matter if it's capitalized or not. Our output device is going to be a file, and our file name is again going to be where we want to save it. So the path to save it, in my case, I'm using C:\mailing KJH, and maybe I'll put a 1 at the end because this is my second run, or I may put the month at the end of it. Many credit unions choose to have a download folder so that they always have record of what they downloaded in prior months. If you would like to do that, I suggest the naming convention of your folder matches the naming convention of the file, as well as saving our file transfer to that same file so that everything is always together. So right here again, this time I'm going to hit the properties here and check the box to convert CCSID 65535, apply, and OK. Now, if I save this, and this time I will save this to my desktop, and I'm going to name it Mailing Download, and I'm going to choose to save. The next time I come in here to MN file number 1, I can do File, Open, and then browse, browse to my mailing download. And then choose to open it. And when I open it, it will be saved. Again, the nice thing about this is if you have those special files that have special naming conventions, you don't have to pull out the booklet every time or go look for it in a note in a file for those files. At that point then, we'll just choose Transfer Data from iSeries. Again, it's just verifying if I have permission. Oh, my last name initial is H now, not R. That's why it didn't work. And again, there's 1,250 rows. This is something that I hope is very, very helpful to you in your credit union for downloading these types of files, for downloading your queries. We get requests all the time about assistance with doing mailing labels or creating mailing lists. On the member communication screen, or MNPR, T as in Tom, C as in Charlie, number 5, there is actually an option for a list generator, and it says database or labels. That's a database file or creating labels. You can process master or the master open memberships, closed memberships, or non-members. Remember, we do keep a full history of all of your non-member records that are in the system. This feature gives you lots of options in order to choose how you would like to select members, whether they do or don't have wrong addresses. Their dividend applications, maybe you only want to look at your kids' accounts. Select accounts without services. This is a big one. Maybe you're doing a big debit card push. You can mark it to all of your members that don't have a debit card record or don't have a marketing club, don't have a safety deposit box. You'll choose your date to process and how you would like to sort that information once the file is exported. And then on your final screen, you can output to a database file. This is the same thing as downloading a database file from a query or exporting a file from a report. So output to database file. And then the nice thing about this feature, and this is the only place that this is currently found in the software, is the ability to eliminate duplicates. So I can choose to eliminate by social security number. So if I have the same social on multiple memberships, I can eliminate that way. I can eliminate by household. So if I have 5 members in a household, they'll only get 1 piece of mail instead of 5. Eliminate by address, or I can choose none. Okay. But this is just to help save the credit union the cost of mailing 5 pieces of mail to 1 household. Okay. And just like we've done the other reports at that point, then I can go to MN file number 1 and download that file into Excel for use in a mailing or on marketing material. I've also seen it used for mail merges, for personalized letters to households. It's a very nice feature in the software. Okay. Again, I'm going to stop and see if I have any questions that are being asked through chat. And I do. What if a report or something in CU-based does not have the option to export? If you do not have the option to export, and give me just one moment, and then maybe my CD selective trial balance. Now mine automatically goes to my P1 printer, which is the same as your hold XX output queue. So let's say I wanted to run this and it did not have this export report to file feature. I can hit enter and I can go out to my spool files. So for me, make sure this is it. We'll give it just a second. Perfect. So if I wanted to take this and I wanted to export this and it was in my spool files or my hold files, you do have the option to download that as well. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit so it looks a little easier to read. Okay. So again, this is my certificate of deposit exception report. I can go to the job filter here. From the screen, I always suggest that you either print it or have a piece of paper handy, and you're going to want everything from underneath the job tab. You also have that handy feature where you can print your screen. Just a moment while I write these down. We know that not everything has the ability to export at this time, and so that's why this feature was invented. So we're going to go ahead and go over to my MN File menu. We are going to do one other thing before we go to MN File number 1, and that is to convert our file so that it can be downloaded. So we're going to copy report to disk file first, or option 6. Okay. File 2, my job was QPrint2. My user is G2 Kinsey H. My job number is 208240, and then my file number, I think I missed one. Timeout. We can always go back and look as well. Oh, my job was CU. So we're going to go ahead and back up and just see what we got here. My file was QPrint too. We had this a little bit backwards. My job is CU. There we go. And then my sequence number, how I'd like to download them. So if I've created multiple files, I can choose to sequence them 1 through 9, and it's going to tell me that it's going to my Query TR or your Query XX library. At that point, we'll go ahead and hit Enter or Continue. It doesn't give you any warning. You don't think it's done anything, but once you've hit Enter, it has done that for you. Okay. At that point, then, I can go to my file download, and I can fill in the same. I can do my Query TR / my QPrint2, or my spool 1, and then I can create the rest of the download and download that also to my C drive for manipulation. Okay. So that comes in handy for those different financial reports possibly that you're using that you like to export to Excel throughout CU Base. Don't forget that besides just these file downloads and doing queries and things like that, that many of the dashboards and different menus as well, most of the analysis menus also have the ability to download to Excel as well directly from the menu. So if I go to like my new close membership, creating its work file, and then I choose from May through today, then I can go and I can analyze this membership on current month files, and I can also export using these functions in the top right-hand corner. Okay. So if you don't want to go out and analyze, or if you're analyzing something currently and you would like to save yourself a little bit of time, I would definitely check out all the dashboards for things that you may be querying for to analyze, to put into graphs for board reports and things, because you can download from there as well. It's telling me where it's been saved, and then it will bring it up in Excel as well. And it graphs it all for you, so you won't have to graph it. Okay? So I do suggest checking those out as well. At this time, I am going to unmute the phones for everyone that has been on this call to ask any questions that you may have. That is everything I have for today. But if you have any questions, if you'd like to see it again, if there's something that you're working on, if you know that you don't have permission, please feel free to contact any of our client service representatives, and any one of them would be happy to assist you in getting that set up or help you in downloading these files to your PC.